Hi guys, welcome to Karma's a Stitch. I'm Tanya, and this is going to be a tutorial on making a hexagon blanket. I wanted to make sure right up front I let folks know that I learned how to do this from watching a YouTube tutorial that was put out about 5 years ago. I knew that I had watched a tutorial on how to do this, and so sorry it's taken me so long to get this done, but I wanted to make sure that I had found that, or at least made my greatest effort trying to find that original video where I got this information, so that I could link that person to make sure that credit was given appropriately, because I did learn how to do this from someone else. I was able to find that original video, so I will link that in the description box below. Her channel is called Earl Grey Crochet, and I was right. It was about 5 years ago because I did find it, and she has not, it doesn't look like she's put any videos out in about 4 years, but I have found her on Instagram, and it looks like she's doing a lot of quilting things and knitting, but I don't see that she's put any videos out unless she's started a new channel. So I do want to make sure I give credit to Earl Grey Crochet, which is where I learned how to do this. And in her tutorial, she gives such great explanation on so many things. But she does talk about how to make a hexagon. She talks about how to do this absolutely beautiful join. I mean, look at that. It is just, it's beautiful, and it's not bulky. The corners look, it's just a wonderful pattern. So that is where I learned how to do this. I wanted to make sure I address that because I think that's incredibly important. So things you're going to need. I have a bag full of scraps. I have lots of scrappy yarns. Each one of these hexagons is about 3 grams of wool. And I'm trying to get this cord out of the way because it's quite distracting for me. It's about 3 grams of wool. So you want to make sure when you're sorting out your scraps that you get the scraps that are at least, I mean, I would make one and then figure out what your hexagons are going to weigh, and then make sure all your scraps that you put into your project bag for that hexagon blanket are at least that many grams. So I have loads of scraps. You're going to need a hook that is the appropriate size for whatever yarn you've decided to use. So my blanket is done in fingering weight yarn. When you watch Earl Grey Crochet, hers she did in a DK weight. So obviously get a crochet hook that's appropriate to the size, the weight yarn you're using. I'm using a size E 3.5 millimeter hook. It's great. You need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a tapestry needle to weave in all those ends, because we all know how important weaving in those ends are. So that's what you're going to need in order to get started with a Hexi blanket. Okay, so things we're going to go over in this tutorial. So I'm going to show you how to do a magic loop or a magic ring or a magic circle, whatever you would like to call this. And it's where you have a closed circle at the center of each of your hexagons. Okay, you don't have a gap, you don't have a hole in the middle. It's a really tight closed circle. And then we're going to talk about how to do a double crochet, and that is US terms. I think the UK term is a treble. Is that a triple crochet? So I think that's, please don't quote me. I'm doing double crochets here, US term. We're going to talk about how to do the magic ring. We're going to talk about how to do the double crochets. We're going to talk about increases and shaping so that your hexagon actually is a hexagon and not just a circle. We're then going to talk about joining. Okay. And we will also, depending on how time goes, this is the third time I've recorded this. The first time YouTube wouldn't let me upload it for whatever reason. I just kept getting an error message. The second time I recorded it, I had a dog barking in the background from my neighbor almost through the entire video, and I was like, holy cow, we can't have that. So this is the third time. We'll see what time permits. I may or may not go through how to weave in my ends because folks do it. Folks do it the way they're comfortable. I'm happy to show you how I do mine. We will probably do a second video on what do you like this is, if this is the edge of my blanket, I need to know how to fill this space with a half hexi, right? So then I have a straight edge for my blanket. I will probably do that as a second video, but I will absolutely give you enough information on how to get started on one of these beautiful Scrappy blankets. So let's get started. Sorry about the bump. Set that aside. Move my stuff up here. Okay, so what I typically do is I carry a little bag around full of scraps, and I end up making just a bunch of these hexagons. So my completed hexagons are 7 rounds. Okay, so I get each of my hexagons up to the point where I have 6 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I do the first side of my 7th round. Okay, and so then I just get a stack of those together. Here's another one I did. And I just set those in my project bag. And then whenever I'm home, I can lay my blanket out and say, okay, I think the yellow one would look great right here. And the pink one might fit in over here on the blanket. And I'm able to go ahead and look at it and place the colors where I want to have them. So let's talk about the magic loop, the magic ring, however you would like to refer to it. Today, because I do have some black fabric down on my table, I thought the pink might look good and help you guys see what I'm doing. So I do have a ball here of pink yarn. And so this tail is going down to my working yarn. And then I have this tail that I'm going to be working with. So when I do a magic loop, and there's lots of ways, you guys, there's so many different ways to do a magic loop, that if this doesn't work for you, if you're struggling with how I hold it or whatever, feel free to Google it and you'll find, I'm sure you'll find something that will work for you. So what I do is I take my working yarn over my pinky and my ring finger and I close those 2 fingers. Okay, I close those 2 fingers around my working yarn and then I still have the tail. Okay, I take the tail and I wrap it around my middle and my index finger 3 times. So there's 1, 2, 3. And then I hold the tail between my thumb and my middle finger. So that's going to keep my tail from going anywhere. So this strand is going down and being held by these 2 fingers. And this strand is being pinched right here with my thumb and middle finger. So I'm going to roll my hand around and I'm going to go underneath the first 2 strands. I'm going to grab my working yarn and I'm going to pull that through underneath the first 2 strands on my finger. I'm going to twist my hook a little bit and then I'm going to grab my working yarn, pull it through for a chain 1, pull it through again for a chain 2. Okay, once I have those chain 2, it's great to take my fingers out of there and know that this chain 2 is going to be my first double crochet into the center of my circle. Does that make sense? So that'll be my first double crochet, and I need 12 of them in this circle. So when I do my double crochets, I make sure that I've got all the things tight, like there's nothing slipping. Everything is held pretty firm with the tension that I hold. I'm going to wrap my yarn around. I'm going to go into the center of my ring. I'm going to grab my working yarn, pull it through the ring, wrap it again, pull it through 2 strands that I have on my hook, pull it, wrap my yarn again, pull it through the last 2 loops on my hook. You see that? So now I've got 2 double crochets going through the center of my circle. So I'm going to do that until I have 12. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the final one is 12. Okay, so if I look here, I have my original chain 2. Okay, my original chain 2 right here. You see that? Can you see that? Chain 2 right there. And then I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So now I need to close this circle up. And if you look, you've got the tail. And if you pull the tail, because remember the tail and both strands of this ring are going through the base of all 12 ear stitches. So when I pull my tail, it's wrapped around with those 2. So those 2 strands. So when I pull this, it's going to tighten one of these strands first. Okay, so let's watch and see. See which one's going. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it the opposite direction from where the tail was going, because that opposite direction is then going to tighten up that second ring. So I can tighten that up, and you can give it a good pull. Like, you don't want to break your yarn, but you can tighten it up. Okay, and then because we grabbed this strand, which we knew that the tail was tightening, I can then grab the tail again. And when I pull the tail, it's going to tighten up that ring. And now I have a nice tight center. You see that? It's like magic, isn't it? Okay, so now that you've done the magic ring, you've got your 12 double crochets. If you need help, if you need to slow this down, go back and watch it. I have timestamps, or I will have timestamps. So I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is joining. Okay, so we're going to join this circle in the round, and then we're going to do some increases. All right, so I'll be right back to do that. Okay, so to join this in the round, we want to go into the top of our, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little better. Okay, so we want to go into the top of the very first chain 2 that we did. So stitch 12 is right up here, because that's when this strand right here, this loop, is when we go in to close the circle. This will form the 12th one, right? So this here would be 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to go right in there. You see that? And that will be the top of my chain 2. So I'm going to take my hook, I'm going to insert it into the top of that chain. I'm going to wrap the yarn and I'm going to pull it through that first stitch that we just inserted it into, and then I'm going to pull it through the hoop that I had on my hook. All right, so that has now closed up my first round of my hexagon. Okay, so now to start the second round, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now if you look, I'm going to cut this tail off a little bit because it's way super long. I don't need it that long. So we'll cut a little bit of that off. If you look at these hexagons that I've done, like it's really tough to tell where the beginning is. There's no jog line, there's no jumping, there's no awkwardness. It's a pretty seamless hexagon. So let me show you how I did. I mean, you could absolutely find it if you knew what you were looking for, right? You could totally find where it is and what part is just a little bit off. You could absolutely do that if you really felt the need, but who's got the time, right? Who's got the time for that nonsense? So let me show you how we do that. You see this is my chain 2, right? And this right here is the slip stitch I just made. So I'm going to put my hook into this loop and I'm going to do a double crochet right behind this chain 2 into this slip stitch. Okay. And it's so hard for me to get that recorded. So I'm going to wrap my yarn and I'm going to put my hook into that slip stitch, wrap the yarn, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. So now I have 2 double crochets coming out of where that slip stitch was. And that is going to be my first stitch, my first increase, my first set of increases. And I'm going to put 2 double crochets into the top of each of the stitches all the way around. I started with 12, and if I put 2 in each, I'll end up this round with 24 double crochets all the way around. Now, when you do that, you're going to wrap it. This first stitch sometimes is difficult to miss, so make sure if you lift your yarn, you can see where it's coming from. You want to make sure you go into the very next one. Sometimes that one gets skipped and it throws off your count. And your count is going to be really important on these first 2 rounds, because if you get off, your hexagon is 6 equal sides. And if you don't have the right number of stitches, it's going to be really difficult to have 6 equal sides. So we just want to make sure we're starting off with a good solid foundation. Get your stitch count right. This took us what, 5 minutes? So if you get it wrong, it's crochet. It's easy to pull it back and start over and do it again. Just make sure that these first 2 rounds are accurate. Okay, so I'm putting 2 double crochets into each of my stitches, and at the end we should be at 24, and I will meet you right back here when I get to the end of my round. Okay, so I've got 1 stitch left. I'm going to put 2 double crochets into that last stitch. There's 1, and 2. And now I can double count, right? Because it is so important. So let's set this out here. I'll try to make it so you guys can see. So I've got my original chain 2 and another one. I'm going to spread this out a little bit so maybe you can see the base of the stitches, because that's how you can really read it. So my original chain 2 and then a double crochet, both coming out of that slip stitch. And then I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I'm good. So now I'm going to close it up just like I did that first time. I'm going to go into the top of that chain 2, and I'm going to do a slip stitch, pull it through both of the loops. And now I've completed the second round of my Hexi. So the third round is when we're going to put in the 6 corners, develop the 6 sides, all equal sides. So each side of a hexagon, okay, each side is going to start with an increase, which is this side of the corner. It's going to have a certain number of stitches, depending on what row you're on. And then this side ends with an increase, which is this side of the corner. And then we'll turn it. This side will start with an increase, certain number of singles, and then we'll end each side with an increase. So the increase right here, is the first increase of this corner, but it's the second increase for this side. Okay, so then when we turn it, we will start with the second increase for this corner, but the first increase for this side. Okay, and then we'll end with the first increase for this corner, but it's the second increase for this side. So if we have 6 sides and we're increasing at the beginning and the end of this side, and we're increasing at the beginning and ending of this side, okay, we're increasing by 2 stitches each round per side, right? Because all sides are identical. So this was our center circle. And then we did an increase into every one of those stitches, which gave us 24. So now we're going to put in our corners. We're going to create what's going to be our hexagon. All right. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So I just joined for round 2, and I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to do a double crochet into that slip stitch, which is just behind the chain 2. And there's my first increase. Okay, so that's the first increase for this side. Now I'm going to do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going, sorry, I put lotion on and my yarn is sticking to my hands. So then my next stitch is going to be the second increase for this side. So 2 double crochets into this stitch. Now, like I said, this is going to be the second increase for this side, right? Because we did an increase here, 1, 2 into the same stitch. Then we did 2 single crochets, and then we did 2 into the same stitch right there, which is second increase. First increase, second increase. But when I turn this corner, this is now the first increase for this corner. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, which is now the second increase for this corner, but the first increase for this side. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the next 2. Right, so there's 2. And then I'm going to finish this side with an increase. Okay, second increase for this side, but first increase for this next corner. So I'm going to do another increase. So 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And there's the next corner. That was the second increase for the corner, but the first increase for this side. So there's one. I'm going to do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then I'll do 2 double crochets for the next corner. Okay, and you're going to do that all the way around. Get 2 double crochets at the beginning of a side, a double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochets to finish the side, turn your corner, an increase to start the side, 2 double crochets. So you can do that all the way around for this round, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do my last side, okay? So which means I need to start with an increase. 1, 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So if you look there, that's 1, 2 increases for the corner. But I just started this side, so I'm going to do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then I'm going, if you look here, I have 1 stitch left. It's going to be an increase to finish this side, but it also is the first increase for this corner. Because remember, we started with an increase right here. We have to finish this corner with the other increase. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that final stitch. Okay. And then I'm going to go into the top of my chain 2, do a slip stitch, okay, and then I can chain 2, and I'm ready for round 4. Now, depending on the weight of your yarn, it still looks like a circle, but trust me, when you attach this to other hexagons, it's going to pull the sides and you'll see the shape of it. And the bigger you get, the more obvious it is. Now, if you were using DK, okay, 3 hexagons or 3 rounds of hexagon might be out to here already, right? Because you're using DK, it might be bigger. You need to decide for yourself how big you want these hexagons. My hexagons, like I told you earlier, I'm doing 7 full rounds, okay? So you need to decide for you how many you're going to do. So if you're going to continue past what we just did, you could do 4 or 5. You could do like 4 or 5 or however many rounds you want to do. Maybe you want really big hexes, okay? What you need to remember, no matter how many rounds you're doing, you've got an increase at the beginning of a side and an increase at the end of the side. So this round 3, we increased this side by 2 stitches. So I'm going to do my first increase right here to start this round. And I did 2 double crochets, right? Separately I did 2 double crochets, sorry, between the increases. So on this round that I'm getting ready to start, I'll do my increase and then I'll do a double crochet into 4 stitches before my next increase. And then I'll turn it. I'll do the second increase for the corner and then I'll do a double crochet into 4 stitches. And then I'll finish this side with an increase. I'll turn it and this side all the way around. So if I do the next round where I have 4 stitches in between all of my increases, okay, and I'm adding 2 per side, then the round after that, I would do an increase, a double crochet into 6, and then an increase. All right. If I were going to go after that, I just increased, I would do an increase, a double crochet into 8, double, and then an increase. So each side is growing by 2 stitches per round as you continue to go. So go ahead and figure out where you want to, how large you want your hexes, and do a few of them. And we'll come back here and we'll talk about how to join. One thing I want to make sure that you pay attention to. Okay, so your increases need to stack on top of the increases from the previous row. So this right here is a corner from round 3, right? Got an increase here and an increase here. So these are the 4 stitches for that increase. So do you see the top where I've got 4 chains? Do you see the 4 loops up there? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so the middle 2, this one and this one, is where my next increases should be going. So for this side, the next increases should be going in right here. Okay, that'll be the first increase for the corner. And then we'll turn to do this side. I'll do an increase right here. Okay, right here, I'm doing another increase, and that'll be the first increase for this side. Okay, so make sure you pay attention, and if you get off, then you'll know you can go back and figure out where you went off. But if you're checking that each time you get to a corner, it's gonna really save you, okay? So get a couple hexes made, and we will meet back here and talk about how to join them. Okay, you guys, so for the sake of time, I picked up one of these that I already had done, and I'm finishing it completely, because your very first hexie, you want to have it completely closed. You want to have a complete hexie to start your blanket, right? And then you can build off of each edge. We could attach this one here, we could attach one here and here, but you need to have at least one completed hexie. So I've gotten, for my stitch count, for the weight of yarn I'm using and the size of hexes I'm doing, I've done my increase for this side that I'm finishing. I've done my increase, and I need 10 double crochets into the next 10, 1 double crochet into the next 10 stitches. So I'm just doing number 10. Okay. And then we're going to do my increase to finish this side. So there's 1, 2, and then we're going to close it up, but we're not going to close our final round the same way we have the other rounds. Okay, so typically, I would cut my tail right now, okay? But I'm not going to cut my tail right now because I don't want, so I'm gonna pull my tail all the way through that stitch. So essentially I would have cut this, but I'm going to pull it through, and then I'm gonna have to cut it. Dang, nabbit. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my tail through my last stitch. Okay, see that? I just pulled it through my last stitch. That's not stable, and we need to close it up. So I would have gone in, hold on one second. I would have gone in and closed this round right here. So I'm going to put my hook in from the back into the stitch that I would have joined it in. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull my yarn to the back of my hexagon. Okay, still not very stable. And then this last stitch that I worked, okay, this last one that I worked, I'm going to stick, come on, I'm going to put my hook up through, So let's say this was it. You'll be able to see it better with this one. I'm going to stick my hook through these 2 legs on the top. See that? It's going to be kind of hard to see on this one that I have to do it with because I pulled that tail super tight. One second. Get in there. There we go. So we're going to stick our hook in through the center of that last stitch that we did, if you're able to. I seem to be having a very difficult time with that right now. Come on. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to pull the working yarn down through the center of that stitch. Now what that does, and I can tighten this up, but what that does is it does make it invisible. You can tighten it up, but I don't tighten it up. I loosen it up so that it matches the same size as all the other stitches. Okay. That's what I do with it. All right. So let's talk about how to join this. So we have this completed, and you would take, this would be very loose. It would come apart. But once you weave in this end, that will solve that problem. Okay. So I have this completed hexie, and now I can start adding hexes around it to join. So let's do that. Okay. So I have this hexie that we just finished, okay, and I'm not going to attach to this edge because this edge I haven't woven that in. So we're going to attach this edge. I'm going to put it like this because this is the angle that's going to be easier. And keep in mind, this is going to look fiddly, but that's basically because I typically do this in my lap and it is not in my lap, and I'm not used to doing this technique on a tabletop from above a camera. I'm not a tutorial master, but I do appreciate you sticking it out. So with this hexie that we're going to attach to my completed hexie, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 completed rounds, and I have started my 7th round. Okay, so when I watched Earl Grey Crochet, she said that you want to try to have at least one side done before you join to another hexie in your blanket. Because she said for whatever reason, joining right here with this first one doesn't make it look as clean, basically. I don't remember what word she used. It's been a while, but so what I want you guys to look at is right here with this one that I'm going to join. Okay, move this so you can see. I have completed my first increase for this corner, right? I've got 2 double crochets coming out of that. So now I'm going to be doing this side, and this side is going to start with the second increase for the corner. So I'll do 2 double crochets in here, and then I'm going to do 10, or I'll do a double crochet into 10 stitches until I get to the other corner, and then I will do 2 double crochets into my corner. Now, I need to line this up with the edge of this hexie that's complete, because I'm going to be doing my final row of the yellow one and attaching it to this lighter pink one. Okay, but this lighter pink one's complete. So I'm not going to be doing increases on this. So do you remember where we looked at the corners and I was like, okay, here's your 4 stitches. You see those 4 stitches right there? If I'm going to attach to this side, I need to go to the first corner stitch for this side, which worked out well. It's that red one. Okay, it's this one right here. Right here. That's where I'm going to be joining with the very first stitch. Okay, so my first double crochet into this corner will be joined right here. So what I do, and this join method is called a PLT, pull loop through. It's exactly as it sounds. So I'm going to put my hook in from the top down. I'm going to grab the loop of the working yarn. Sorry, I'm moving my camera. Hold on a second. Let me just do that. There we go. I'm going to pull the loop through. I'll show you that again. So I'm going to go in from the top down. I'm going to put the loop on my hook, tighten it down, pull the loop through the pink hexie, and now I can do my double crochet. I'm having a hard time with this yarn. I can do my first double crochet into this corner. So I'm going to wrap the yarn, put it through the stitch. This is going to be my first double crochet. Pull it through, pull the loop up, and now I'm going to go to the next stitch on this pink hexie. You see that right there? So we just joined here, and I'm going to go to the next stitch. Put the hook in, put the loop on, pull the loop through the pink hexie, and now for this yellow one, I'm doing an increase. So I'm going to go into the same stitch, and this is my increase. So I'm going to do another double crochet into this corner stitch. Okay, pull the loop up. I'm going to go to my next stitch on my pink hexie. I'm going to put the loop on, pull it through, wrap it around, go in, because now I just did my increase. So now for the next 10 stitches, I'm going to put a double crochet in, one double crochet into the next 10 stitches on this yellow. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next stitch, pull it through, loosen up the loop a little bit. I always pinch it with my finger. Find your next stitch on your pink one. Put the loop back on your hook, pull it through the completed hexie, and now wrap it, work the working yarn around your hook, and do your next double crochet. Okay, is that making sense? Is that as clear as mud? If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them and help in any way I can, because what a fun project, you guys. It has been such fun, and it has absolutely helped me use up all of my scraps. And how great is that? Oof, I love it. So I'm going to do my 10 double crochets, and I will meet you at this next corner where I have to do the second increase for this row. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do my 10th stitch with a double crochet in there. Okay, so if we look here, let's see if I can point it to you. So I've got, if you look down here at the base stitches, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then my doubles, my increase right here in the corner. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to do my next increase. You see this corner right here? I'll zoom in. Okay, you see how this right here is my double in this corner? This was my first increase for my previous round. I just did 10. So this right here is where I need to do my second increase for this side of this yellow hexagon. Okay, so that's where I'm going in here. My last 2 stitches are both going to go in here because this is my increase. Now, if I look at the pink one, okay, I've got my double crochet coming out of here. This is my increase. And this right here is the end of this side. And I have 1, 2 stitches left. You see that? I have 1, 2 stitches. So I'll put the first double crochet, attach it into the yellow, and then the second double crochet, and I'll attach it into the same stitch on the yellow because that's my increase for the yellow, but my pink one already has the increases it needs. Okay, so I'm going to go into my next stitch, put the loop on my hook, pull it through my pink one, wrap it. I'm going to go into my corner stitch, do my double crochet, pull the loop up. Now I'm going into the second stitch of this corner on my pink hexie, which is completed, no increases needed. Pull my loop through, and I'm going to do my second increase into my yellow one for this side. Okay, so there's my increase. Now, if I wanted to, if I wanted to, I could now join it right here to another hex. Sorry, I could then join it right on this side with another hexie. I'm right in the right spot. I would need an increase here, and I would join it into the completed hexie, and I would find the appropriate stitch for that corner, and I would join it on the edge right there. Okay, in this case, I'm just going to finish it and go around, and then I'm good, and I can move on to another hexie. So you guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. I am not a tutorial person. I don't typically do these, but I have just had so many people ask for this. So if you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe. And I cannot guarantee that there will be more tutorials. I will do one for the half hexie so that we can finish a straight edge on this blanket. But hopefully you guys will check out the Earl Grey Crochet because she has all that information in hers as well. But I will end up doing a follow-up tutorial to this one. So I hope you guys are all doing great. I'm going to try to upload this and see if YouTube will take it this time. And we will see you guys all soon. Bye.